This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, point is verse 50, and it reads, For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Allah, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodesh Prophet Thom. I say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua, to the listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I will say Shalom. Salakia. This is the brother Yahweh out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. And I'm coming back at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. This lesson is going into this article that I saw on my news break. So like in my news break app in regards to the unemployment. And it's particularly not sensitive, but particularly personal, because it affects the area that the brothers from the Cleveland camp are in, because I'm in the GMS Cleveland camp, and it says evictions rising in Northeast Ohio, what to do if it happens to you. And that's not the point that I want, what to do if it happens to you, but the point is, evictions rising. And, like I started with 2nd Ezra chapter 8, many great miseries shall be done to those that dwell on the earth in the latter days, roughly paraphrased. Scriptures talk about, pride, and pride is like one of the 6 things the Most High hates. I believe pride is the first one, if I'm not mistaken. And it tells you in the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, how as the judge of the city is, so is the people. So Esau Edom, which is the ruler of this current world, tells you in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Well, if the people are as the judge of the city is, and the ones that rule this earth and rule, this world, are prideful, the people are prideful, especially, 2/3 of our people, because they refuse to hearken on and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. Brothers was bringing that out at camp. You got Jake that want to be in the truth and in the world at the same time, and it don't work like that. A sacrifice is exactly that. You're gonna have to give up something. I was thinking of this comedy special that Richard Pryor did. He said, you got to give up the salsa, baby. You got to give up the salsa. I think it's titled "That Nigga Crazy." I'm a fan of comedy, so just a little light humor. But this just popped in my mind as a spirit, though. But yeah, we about to come into times where things aren't going to be so funny. Scriptures already say that a wise man's son will smile. There's nothing wrong with cracking a joke here and there, and brothers tend to smile amongst brethren. But we about to come into times where, it really ain't going to be, like everybody hurt now, and you about to see the squeeze of that even more. I've seen a few brothers do videos on that. I think the brother from Nebraska, I believe the elder Yashawamba, and I know the brother Bakar Ma from Men of Valor. So like in Men of Valor, although they're not great millstone, they teach the likewise, or the same doctrine, the likewise doctrine, the truth. So, they are brethren. But I'm bringing a little bit of this article, and Lord willing, this is edifying. It says more than 17,000 evictions have been filed against Cleveland renters since 2020. And that's during the pandemic, or the P. Dizzy. Eviction filings are becoming more common in Northeast Ohio following a brief reprieve during the pandemic, though they can be complicated and lead to the courtroom. Renters need to know their rights, and that there's help available in their communities. But that's not true. I know for a fact certain individuals that lost their homes and apartments during the pandemic. A lot of people didn't know, like, it was money out there for you to basically get your rent paid during the pandemic, but people didn't even know how to file it. You just had people going to court and they weren't really telling them, then they were telling certain people. So a lot of these cities kept that money. That's why you got cities, like cities like California and whatnot, where they were giving stimulus. You had certain cities giving out stimulus, and you had certain cities that were not. And Cleveland was one of those the ones that didn't, because basically they lording over you, you know what I mean? They trying to keep the municipality going as opposed to looking out for the people. And the thing is now, because you got to understand these cities thrive off of that currency, and when the currency ain't flowing, then they gonna make a currency. So right now, I hear they basically cracking down on a lot of shit. These street walkers and these little cootie bop dope boys and all that little shit. You know what I mean? Like the city going after businesses. I'm seeing that just by watching Newsbreak app. So, says evictions on the rise. Eviction filings are seeing a resurgence nationwide now that not just in America. I mean, Salaka, not just in Cleveland, but nationwide. Now that protections for tenants established during the CV-19 pandemic have ended. And I was watching that guy John Williams, and he basically saying how they coming up with legislation that's gonna make it more difficult for the homeowners or the owners of the property. Because everybody ain't gonna be able to work. It's about to be a lot of companies about to lay off. You can see that coming. It says in some cities they're 50% higher than the pre-pandemic average. Damn, it's higher than it was during the pre-pandemic. Rent prices also saw sharp spikes that outpaced income growth over the last 2 years, increasing the burden of housing costs on Ohio's lowest income renters and creating more housing insecurity, said Marcus Roth, spokesperson for the Coalition on Homelessness and Housing in Ohio. Rents are still going up. It's not the crazy spikes we were seeing in late 21 or 22, he said. As far as the rental market, it has cooled off nationally, but we're still seeing steeper rent increases in the Midwest than those of other parts of the country. Now, that's funny because I've seen two different not basically two different ideologies of as far as the rent, because they were saying that no, let me take that back. They were saying certain places in the Midwest where the prices were increasing. Just certain places, like in certain places in Cleveland it wasn't, but certain other cities it was. So yeah, I guess that's correct. It's still a concern, and there's been so much escalation of rental rates in the last couple of years. It's really putting a lot more on putting a lot more people on the edge. Cuyahoga County had the highest eviction filing rate in Northeast Ohio in 2022, nearly 7% higher than the statewide average of 6.4%. And you already know what this is about to bring. It's about to bring a lot of misery and a lot of violence. I believe a brother did a video about that guy in Philadelphia. I believe it was a Jake, and he was getting evicted, and he opened up on the sheriffs. He like, fuck y'all, you know what I mean? And the scriptures tell you that we're gonna be as pilgrims on the earth. You're gonna eventually have to give up all this. Scriptures talk about who doesn't love or who doesn't hate mother or father or son or daughter, basically, and ready to forsake all to follow Yahweh Shai Mashiach or Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. He's not fit to be my disciple, roughly paraphrased. Scripture talks about in Philippians chapter 3, Paul said he counted all as dung, all as loss. He's willing to give up everything. And you have to have that mindset. If you got any attachment to this world, you are compromised. And that's just the fact of the matter, And, I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. I mean, I'm a brother with children and, and all that, So, I'm not just speaking out the side of my neck, we all are going to go through an hour of temptation. So that's pretty much what I'm going to read out of this, because like I said, and we know it's about to get even harder because, again, like I said, next month you got the student loan repayment about to kick back in. And then, they're saying food, food is already going up because you see, I just was like, I saw up at the same stores pretty much. And, like particular items, like, some particular items I could clearly see went up maybe about 30, 40 cents, but that's a lot. If something was $5.89 and then now it's $6.35, that little 40, 50 cent, yeah, that could be the ability to get it or not. That could actually affect the ability to be able to purchase that or not. So yeah, I got like 10 minutes to try and get this in. So at the end of the day, we know, more misery is coming. So, that being said, we got hard times coming. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 1, and it reads, moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua came unto me, saying, verse 2, also thou son of man, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, power unto the land of Israel, the end is come upon the four corners of the land. Now is the end come upon thee, and the end is the end of the way that this, the way that you moved in America, being able to just, thinking shit sweet, you know what I mean? Like you can see the significant change of how life changed from 2020 to 2023. Shit has got a lot harder, a lot colder, a lot more difficult. When you go into the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, when it goes into the word perilous, um it means dangerous, but it also means hard to do. So it's gonna be harder to live, harder to find work, harder to survive, harder to take care of your family. It says, and I will send my anger upon thee and will judge thee according to thy ways and will recompense upon thee all thy abominations. And mine eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity. Scriptures tell you in the book of Ezekiel chapter 9, set a mark upon the foreheads of those that sigh and cry. And he say, smite old and young. It ain't the Most High is not gonna have no pity. And his messengers ain't, you know what I mean? Because they love to do the will of and the bidding of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And my eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abomination shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Verse 5, thus saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, power and evil and only evil, behold, is come. And when you go to the word evil, Eve is time, ill is bad. So bad times are approaching. Again, things are about to get harder, especially in the winter months. We all dealt with the, how the gas rates changed. And I remember that I moved in this apartment. Gas bill during the winter might have been $120. Now gas bill $265, damn near $300. So yeah, the Lord. I mean, I'm just waiting to see what 2024 gonna bring. Call lawyer, like y'all, but you shot. Going into Amos chapter 3, and this is really to affect Jake, because Jake, is the downtrodden. Jake is the lowly. Jake is the poorest individuals in this country. And you got to remember, Jake is you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. You are the children of the Most High, although you refuse to hearken and come back on to the ways of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. This is Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear this word, the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? And because, 2/3 of the nation of Israel refused to hearken and come back to the laws and statutes and commandments, the Most High is not going to cover them in these days, these dark days that's coming. We got, it's a time known as Jacob trouble in the scriptures that is approaching. It's going to be trouble for Jacob on all sides. Forgot what that's called, but I remember the brother from Nebraska was doing a video on it. I remember the brother, the head of our camp, was talking about that Edomite that came up with that book Killology. And basically, I don't know who this dude is, but basically he's contracted by the government. They showed a clip of him, he shooting like John Wick and shit. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, you talk about, like, it's funny because I was thinking about when I came to the truth about Clint Eastwood. I grew up watching Clint Eastwood with my dad. Clint Eastwood used to always get his ass whooped in a fist fight, but he'd go get that pistol and fuck you up. True Edomite, But anyhow, and you got Esau waiting. Esau is, you're going to really see this man as the devil when this dark day approach. You seeing it now, shit, they finding niggas hanging up on school or park swings, and you know what I mean? Like, you got that going on right now down south. I remember it was going on a little bit during the pandemic. Let's bring it to the light, but I'm sure it's going on even when they was covering it up. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. So it's going to be a day of trouble completely for Jacob, Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. it is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And who is the he? The elect. You got the elect that's preserved onto salvation, while you got the 2/3 that's preserved on to judgment. Again, I quoted Ezekiel chapter 9. It tells you the tuah, that mark of exemption. And everybody that doesn't have that mark, that spiritual mark, everybody that doesn't have that mark is going to be destroyed. They're going to be smited. So again, it's going to come to a time that you can't hold on to none of this stuff. That's why in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16, it tells you, verse 40, "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils, mean the bad times, be even as pilgrims upon the earth." So, scriptures tell you in the book of Romans, to basically we are subject to the powers that basically the Most High ordains the powers that's in rulership, pretty much. I'm butchering it. Let me give it, because I don't want to butcher it. But we're supposed to basically follow, the order of who the Most High put in rulership until it conflicts with the laws of our Heavenly Father. That's when you're supposed to take a stand. This is Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High." And then this goes into Esau bearing the sword. So the Most High ultimately put Esau in his position, and he's gonna be the one that's gonna take him out of it. I'm gonna end it with this. So again, the Lord may put you in situations where He, takes away certain people in your life. Individuals. And you've had brothers lose their woman, their children, all kinds of stuff, and that shit hurt. You know, I can speak on it first and foremost because I went through that situation. Lost my woman. Lost. The crazy part is my testimony. I lost my family first. Met this woman. Had kids by this woman, and then I seen the demon jumping on her. I'm thinking I could never figure out why she couldn't get it. But I was new into the faith because it wasn't meant for her to get it. And that's actually the Lord building you up and making you stronger. Because like the beloved brother Big Murph from Chicago says, if the Lord getting a bitch out your life, that's a blessing. The Lord is going to either, if you really truly a man of the Lord and the Lord dealing with you, He's going to remove stumbling blocks out your way. He's not going to put them in there. He may test you, but He going to remove certain people that is hindering you or not a help or is not beneficial or really going to be, so you're going to have women that you really think that's in this thing with you, and that day when this shit get real, that's going to actually take individual brothers' kids, and that may break some men's spirit. But you got to have that mindset that no matter what, you're going to keep on pushing on. You got to have that tunnel vision, the eye being single. So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 1. Point is verse 5. It says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments." Verse 2, "For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee." Because the laws, statutes, and commandments bring life. It's a law on how to treat the land. Look at this devil and rulership, how he destroyed this shit. Look at the earth. Verse 3, "Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thine heart." Verse 4, "So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man." Verse 5, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding." Verse 6, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." And that's the point, at the end of the day, the Lord does certain things, and you may not understand it at the time, but, everything, it tells you in the book of Romans chapter 8, all things work to the good of the Most High. All things good and bad work, they basically are the will of Yahweh Shema Shah. It tells you in the book of Sirach chapter 18, all things been to the will of the Most High, because He's the Father of spirits. So yeah, just prepare for more hard times. That's the spirit too, because I didn't particularly expect to do a video on this, but I see how the spirit led it, because like I said, I was watching. Well, I didn't watch them. I meant to watch certain brothers' videos because they was going into the prepare for harder Hashem, Kodesh Baruch Thumb. I'm gonna say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Say peace and salutations to the Akim, across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Say shalom to the Akim and the Aquata for listening and learning. Lord willingly, this was edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, sharing like the other nations, the whom subscribe to the truth. Yes, shalom. The next time I'm able to bring another lesson, say shalom, shalom, walk, blah, blah, blah. Shalom. Kwam Yasharallah.